Powers Authority Board meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Director Goldstein,
Here.
Director Nicole Coburn, alternate for Carlos Palacios.
Here.
Director Estorga.
I believe that was an aye.
Okay, Director Menard.
Here.
Okay, you may notice that we have a different chair for this meeting. Unfortunately, Director Palacios had to leave, so I'm stepping in as chair for this board meeting. Do we have any additional materials other than the material that's on our desk here this morning?
No, we do not.
Okay, so those were additional staff reports that were distributed earlier this week, I understand. Okay. Well, those will be incorporated into the record. Any changes to today's agenda?
No, there's not.
Okay. So that brings us then to oral communication. Oral communication is a chance for the members of the public to address this board on any items that are not on today's agenda or are contained on the consent agenda. Do we have any oral communications in the room here this morning? Seeing none, do we have any oral communications for the board with our virtual participants?
There are none.
Okay, I will close oral communications and brings us to library director report. We have a report from our interim library director, Dr. Howard.
Thank you. Yeah, I've submitted it in writing.
Okay, so we will note that the library director report was submitted in writing. And that takes us then to the next item on today's agenda, which is a report by the Friends. Do we have a report today from our Friends? They're with us. We are calling it up virtually, I believe.
Good morning, Director Goldstein, members of the board, Bruce Cotter, Executive Director of the Friends of the Library. Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Thank you for allowing me to present to you this morning. Our primary organizational objective this year continues to be the raising of $1 million to supplement the Measure S funds available for the Aptos, Branciforte, and Garfield Park branches. We continue to be amazed by the overall generosity of the Santa Cruz County community in supporting this Realizing the Promise campaign. At this point, I am pleased to report that we have slightly over $940,000 in hand, either in the form of actual gifts or signed pledges. We were confident that we will achieve the rest of our goal in January. We still have a few large opportunities that we're working on bringing into December, which will hopefully give us another 50 or 60,000 and just about take us there. However, we're also engaged with the Santa Cruz Gives campaign that you may be familiar with, that is done by Good Times. We anticipate a substantial response from that. In fact, out of the 80 nonprofits involved, we are currently in 4th position on the leaderboard. This is important for a couple of reasons. One, it presents us with a little more visibility to donors who come on board and want to see who's involved in the process. Also, there are significant matching funds that are distributed based on the overall funds raised by the organization. So, as I say, we are very confident that we will make this goal in January. We have been able to accomplish just a tremendous amount this year because of the support of the county, the community, including our donors and supporters, and in particular, an amazing group of volunteers and board members throughout the county. They have worked so hard on this campaign and to benefit the libraries, and they really deserve all of our thanks. We are currently starting to put our plans together for fundraising and advocacy for the downtown mixed-use library facility. Let me just take a moment to restate our absolute support for that facility. We will not really be finalizing anything, I think, until we have an opportunity to sit down with Yolande Wilburn, new director, whose arrival we eagerly anticipate. We are pleased to support the staffing plan that has been put together by library staff for the reopening of the rest of the system next year, at least of 5 branches. However, we do want to express our strong position and opinion that minimal staffing levels are not going to be enough for the long term for the library system. And as soon as practical, we believe we need to return to fuller staffing levels. When the pandemic abates and libraries begin to reopen, the demand for staff is going to hit fast and hard. If there's one thing we know for certain, the most important items in the library are not books, they are not videos, they are not CDs, they are the staff, both backroom and customer facing. And we really think we're going to need to start early in hiring and training people for that time, and we would support you thinking in those ways. And finally, we would just like to express our appreciation to Interim Director Eric Howard, who has done just a terrific job in moving the library forward in very trying times, and has been a real pleasure to work with these last few months. We were fortunate to have him, and we look forward to working with him and Ms. Wilburn in the coming year. That is the end of my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bruce. I really want to take a moment to just acknowledge all the great work that the Friends do. You guys continue to inspire and amaze me. The fundraising in Aptos is really remarkable. The level of volunteerism and support for our libraries is really a thing of pride for the board, for the staff, for our entire community. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
Thank you, Jamie. I'll pass those comments on to my group.
Are there any questions for the Friends from any of the board members? Seeing none, I will take us to the next item, item 7 on our agenda, which is a report by the Library Advisory Commission. We have a report this morning.
Good morning, board members. I'll be sharing a few updates from the commission in our most recent meeting, which took place on November 15th at the stunning and new La Selva Beach branch. Commissioners provided updates on their involvement in a variety of library-related forums and focus groups. Just a couple of details on those. We had commissioners involved in the downtown revisioning seminar involving the library mixed-use project, and commissioners expressed a lot of feedback around the fact that that was a really great model for public engagement and feedback. And there was a desire to see this approach utilized in present strategic planning efforts being undertaken by library leadership, especially given the energy the community has been showing on a variety of library issues. The library director recruitment was another area where we had commissioner involvement. So several commissioners participated in focus groups with library director candidates and expressed confidence in the process and the caliber of those candidates under consideration. We're excited to see that this is advanced to selection and appointment of Yolande Wilburn, and echo the appreciative comments by our Friends Executive Director regarding the leadership that Interim Director Howard has provided. It's exciting to think about what a newly appointed director and Assistant Director Howard will be able to accomplish. We look forward to supporting them in any way that we can. Commissioners also received a presentation from Laura Whaley on the library's staffing model and foreseen challenges. And I just wanted to give you a quick summary of where some of the commissioner feedback centered in that presentation. It was very clear to commissioners that the service update and analysis that has been undertaken provides a really nice logical roadmap to navigate efforts to staff library branches moving forward. Commissioners also appreciated that while we have 10 branches in the library system, really to provide equitable services to the community, the system really should be considered 11 branches, with the 11th branch representing the library's outreach efforts. In addition, the commissioners felt the designations that were laid out made sense and shared a great deal of enthusiasm around the inclusion of a 7-day-week service in the minimum service level for that regional designation. I understand that you all will be receiving similar information today, so just keep that in mind. Building on that, commissioners also expressed strong support for the necessary added staffing to meet minimum staffing service levels at all designations, In fact, there was a fair amount of discussion among commissioners about moving above minimum to a standard service level, and the commission actually encouraged staff to agendize staffing for a future meeting so that the LAC could better understand different service levels. For example, the difference between minimum versus standard or something above standard, so that we could take that information, engage community members, and provide a recommendation back to the JPA. So with that, I will conclude my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Bass this morning? Okay, great. Lindsay, thank you so much for your presentation. We can talk more about the hours when we get to that item later on the agenda here this morning. Okay, so that takes us to item 8 on today's agenda, which is comment by board members. Do any board members have any comments for the group?
Oh, Director Goldstein, our chair. I just want, this is Nicole Coburn for the county. I just want to thank Eric as well for his time as interim. It's been a pleasure to work with him, and I truly believe that him along with Yolande are going to be an excellent pair leading the library into the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Colburn. Okay, so that takes us to correspondence by public. Do we have any correspondence by public that we need to read into the record? Seeing none, we will take it to item 10, which is the consent calendar. Do any board members want to pull any items for discussion from consent? Okay, seeing none. So you may have noticed when we took oral communications, I did mention that it was the opportunity for the members of the public to comment on consent. I do know that often we do take a moment here to allow the public to comment. And since I did things a little bit differently, I will give a second chance to make sure that nobody wants to comment on consent. Do we have anyone in the room here who wants to comment on the consent calendar? Seeing none, do we have anybody online, any of our attendees online?
There are none.
Okay, with that, I'll bring it back to the board. I'll look for a motion to approve consent.
I'll approve the consent agenda.
Director Astorga?
Astorga will second.
I believe that was a second from Director Astorga. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Goldstein,
Aye.
Director Coburn,
Aye.
Director Astorga,
Yes.
okay, and Director Menard.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Okay, so that takes us to the next item on this morning's agenda, which is general business. And the first item on this morning is to adopt a resolution approving the library director employment agreement and authorize the board chairman to execute the agreement. As required by state law, there's a little bit I'm going to read here. But before I get into that, I do want to also take a moment to thank our interim director, Howard, who stepped in this summer and fall and helped us out. Working with you has been wonderful. I'm looking forward to continue working with you in the future. And then I also want to take a moment to acknowledge the city of Santa Cruz for their help with the recruitment. It was a great recruitment process. And I think we ended up with a really terrific candidate who's going to, the new director, who's going to really help lead this library in wonderful directions moving forward. So with that, as required by state law, as the board chair, I need to list out some of the terms of the employment agreement. It includes a starting date of January 3rd, 2022. The starting salary for the position is $202,212. There's a moving expense allowance. It's a reimbursement of up to $10,000 to relocate to our community. A starting vacation bank of 80 hours, starting sick leave bank of 80 hours, a management vacation bank of approximately 80 hours, a vacation accrual rate of 120 hours per year. In addition, the new director will receive the same benefits as City of Santa Cruz executive employees. On the proposed contract in front of us?
I don't have any questions, but I'm excited for the new director and this is, it's going to be wonderful to have her come and start in January, working alongside the rest of the library system staff and just looking forward to it.
Great, thank you, Nicole. Any of our remote directors have any questions or comments? Director Menard.
I'd just like to second that and also to thank Eric for his interim leadership. And I do think that the selection process was a challenging one. We had a lot of really great candidates and I'm very excited about the new director coming in and also have a lot of positive, sort of vibes about what's going to happen going forward with the library. So good job, everyone.
Yeah, I know I've already mentioned it. I do also want to acknowledge all the support we got in the recruitment process. I did mention the city of Santa Cruz and their HR support, but we also had members of the community who helped us interview candidates for the position. We also had finalists come and talk to library staff, and we got feedback from a lot of library staff. So I want to just thank everybody for this process. I really think it was a great, transparent process that had a lot wide range participation, and thank everybody for their help. So I think I do need to go to the public comment. Does anyone from the public want to provide us with any comments here? Nobody in the room? Anybody online?
There are no public comments.
Okay, seeing no public comments on this item, I will bring it back to the board for a roll call vote. Can we have a roll call, please?
Do we actually have a motion?
Goldstein,
Aye.
Director Coburn,
Aye.
Director Astorga,
Yes.
Director Menard.
Aye.
Director Menard, we didn't get an audio there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Aye. Now?
Great, thank you. Okay, so that motion carries unanimously, and starting in the new year, we will have a new library director on board. Okay, so that takes us to our next item on the agenda, which is to adopt an annual meeting schedule for 2022. Everyone will recall that we just adopted a schedule for our LFFA.
Ask for a roll call.
Did you ask for a motion?
My apologies. Apparently we had a motion, we had a vote on nothing there. So let's do that again. Let's really quickly look for a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the library director agreement. My apologies, folks. Director
So
Menard.
moved. So moved. Move the staff recommendation.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, well, thank you for catching that. Helga, can we have a roll call vote on a motion this time?
Director Goldstein,
Aye.
Director Coburn,
Aye.
Director Astorga,
Yes.
Director Menard.
Aye.
All right, well, that was embarrassing, but now let's try moving on to the next item, item B on the calendar today, which is to adopt our annual meeting schedule. Everyone will recall we just did this with the LFFA and slightly modified the recommendation that's in the packet. What's the board's pleasure this morning?
I would make a motion to do the same schedule as we just talked about with the LFFA, in that we would have the first meeting of the year in Capitola, followed by 2 meetings in Felton, and then rotating to downtown for 2 meetings and finishing up with Scotts Valley for the final 2 meetings of the calendar year.
Director Menard?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any public comment here in the room this morning? Seeing none, any public comment with our virtual participants?
There are none.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the same schedule that we had for the LFFA for 2022. Can we have a roll call, please?
Director Goldstein,
Aye.
Director Coburn,
Aye.
Director Astorga,
Yes.
Director Menard,
Aye.
I heard Director Menard say yes, and I saw her lips move. Okay, so that motion carries unanimously. That takes us to item C, which is the revised holiday closure policy number 108. Can we have a staff report, please?
Hi, thank you. So what we're attempting to do here is ensure that we have adequate service. And one way to do that is when we know we're going to have a lot of people out on vacation, that we're asking to close the library buildings on the eves, so Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. But I do want to point out that our online services are still available and book drops will be open. So those two really important pieces are still in play.
Okay, are there any questions on the revised holiday closure policy from board members? Seeing none, I'll go to public comment. Is there any public comment today in the room for the proposed revised holiday closure policy to close on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve this year? Seeing none, any comments online?
There are none.
All right, I will bring it back for any board member comments or potentially a motion.
I can move the recommended action of staff.
Director Menard?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the revised holiday closure policy number 108. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Goldstein,
Aye. Aye.
Director Coburn,
Aye.
Director Astorga,
Yes.
Director Menard.
Aye.
Okay, that schedule passes, that policy passes unanimously, which brings us to item 11D, which is the Capitola Branch Library lease and sublease agreements. Do we have a staff report this morning? We do. Bear with us for a moment. We are setting up for an in-person staff report here.
Good morning. My name is Kimberly Finley. I'm the Chief Real Property Agent with the Department of Public Works for the County of Santa Cruz. I appear before you today to recommend approval of the sublease agreement between the County of Santa Cruz and the Santa Cruz Public Libraries for the city-owned Capitola Library facility at 2005 Wharf Road in Capitola. The lease and sublease associated with the Capitola Library arise from the obligations set forth in a August 17th, 2004 contract referred to as the first implementation agreement to redevelopment pass-through agreement and library agreement. This agreement obligated the city of Capitola to build a library. The agreement also obligated the city of Capitola to lease the library for $1 per year for a term of 99 years or less if agreed upon to the County of Santa Cruz. This agreement further required that the county or its designee assume responsibility for the maintenance, repairs, and operation of the library and provide staffing levels and library service hours comparable to that of the Aptos Branch Library. In accordance with the agreement, the city has completed construction of this beautiful Capitola Library, which had its grand opening in June of this year. On October 28th, 2021, the city also obtained the authority to enter into a 99-year lease via City Ordinance number 1045. The Department of Public Works Real Property Section has drafted a lease agreement between the County of Santa Cruz and the City of Capitola in full conformance with the terms of the agreement. Namely, a lease for $1 per year for the term of 99 years, with county assuming responsibility for all maintenance, repairs, and operation of the library. The lease was approved by the city via ordinance number 1045 and is on agenda for the Board of Supervisors approval on the December 7th, 2021 meeting. Additionally, the County of Santa Cruz and the Santa Cruz Public Libraries has drafted a sublease agreement for the city-owned library. The sublease would be effective upon execution and expire on December 31st, 2025, the date when the joint powers agreement between the City of Santa Cruz, the County of Santa Cruz, and the cities of Capitola and Scotts Valley relating to library services naturally terminates. The base annual rent for the sublease is $1. Consistent with the terms of the agreement, the sublease designates the libraries to be responsible for library operations, including service hours and staffing levels comparable to the Aptos Branch Library. Additionally, the sublease designates the Santa Cruz Public Libraries to be responsible for all library utility charges, routine maintenance, and minor repairs up to $10,000 per occurrence with an annual maximum of $50,000 per year. County will retain responsibility for all major repairs and capital work over the established limits. Any expenses incurred by the county will be paid via a capital trust to be funded through the County Library Fund in an amount based on an existing facility assessment and a major maintenance budget to be presented to and approved by the Board of Supervisors. The sublease is on agenda for the Board of Supervisors approval on December 7th, 2021. The proposed lease and sublease will provide the Santa Cruz Public Libraries with occupancy of the beautiful city-owned Capitola Library and to provide library service for the benefit of the community. Therefore, I now recommend approval of the proposed sublease agreement between the County of Santa Cruz and the Santa Cruz Public Libraries. That completes my presentation, and I am available for any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I love the choice and adjectives to use to describe the Capitola branch. I completely agree. It's a beautiful building. Do we have any questions for Ms. Finley this morning? Seeing none, I will go to public comment. Do we have any public comment on this item from anyone in the room? Seeing none, any public comment from any of our virtual attendees?
There are none.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the board. And I just want to take a moment to really thank everybody. This has been, as hard as it may be to believe this, the project that we've been working on, I think for about a year. Maybe even more. So there's been a lot of work behind the scenes and getting this lease together, the two leases, all of the different parties having to review and develop it. Kimberly and her team have been really wonderful to work with. So I want to thank everybody for the great work and working through all the little nuances of this thing. And at the same time, I think it's terrific to hand over the reins from the city of Capitola to this building officially to the libraries to run a library, because that's obviously what this building was built to be. So I'll bring it back to the board for any other comments and a potential motion.
This is Director Coburn. I just want to thank Kimberly and her team as well. And note that the maintenance plan that has been worked on for the Capitola branch, I think will serve as a really good model as we go forward with all of the branches in terms of trying to come up with a 30-year plan for maintenance, which I don't think we've ever done as a library system in terms of planning for the future. So I'm hoping, and we sat down with Eric, I think it's something we can really use to replicate on all of our branches going forward and have a really logical plan for setting aside funds for maintenance. So we'll be bringing forward that plan to the board, and we can bring it forward to the library as well so that everyone can take a look at that. But with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve the lease agreement as recommended by staff. Is there a second? Director Menard?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We do have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call then?
Director Goldstein,
Aye.
Director Coburn,
Aye.
Director Astorga,
Yes.
Director Menard.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries unanimously, and we have a lease, at least on this end, all ready to go for the Board of Supervisors authorization coming up next month. That takes next week. Wow, you're right. We are already in December. Okay, so that takes us to the next item on our agenda this morning, which is salary savings for collection spending, item E. We have a staff presentation, please.
Yes. So we find ourselves in a good situation and in a bad situation in some ways here. The good situation is that we have a fair amount of salary savings. The bad situation is that we had our IT manager resign in August, and then the interim manager has also just recently resigned. And it's going to create some hurdles for us as we open up the 5 libraries that we will be opening up in 2022. I want to thank Ken Morgan, who is the IT director for the city of Santa Cruz, who I've met with and gone over our needs. And he's provided us with this estimate for going for some outside help to assist us with the project management of building out these libraries so that they have the IT infrastructure that everyone is expecting. And so we will still have considerable savings in our salaries line item in the budget. And so we're asking this amount to be moved over so that we can get some consultants and help us with those 5 libraries. This is really intended to get us through 6 months. And then the hope is that by then we will have a new IT manager and we have other vacancies in that division as well that we hope to fill out.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. Is there any questions from board members about the proposed budget amendment? Seeing none, I'll look for any public comment here in the room. No public comment in the room. Any public comment from our virtual attendees?
There are no public comments.
Okay, so I'll bring it back to the board for discussion and a possible motion. Director Menard?
Move the staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the budget amendment to amend the library budget in the amount of $150,000. Can we have a roll call, please?
Director Goldstein,
Aye.
Director Colburn,
Aye.
Director Astorga,
Yes.
Director Menard.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries unanimously. That takes us to item F on today's agenda, which is a presentation by the interim assistant director, Laura Wadley, on a service update. Have
Yeah.
that presentation.
And I just want to introduce Laura. She has been steadfast in her work on this. And just to provide a quick background, this was really set off, impetus behind it was the subcommittee that the board put together to review staffing. I also want to thank the Friends of the Library and the Library Advisory Commission. Lindsay provided really much, she articulated the context behind this better than I could have. And so we are really exploring a logical path, I believe, so that everyone can see what our needs are and what level of service we can provide. And I'm going to let Laura Whaley take it away. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you for letting me do that.
Is fair and equitable services throughout the county while still retaining the unique needs of each community that we serve. So if we could go to the next, thank you. The goal has been to provide a framework for determining staffing level requirements at each branch based on its designation, to provide open hours services and programs based on the staffing levels, and to be able to use this framework in the future to determine staffing needs as open hours services and programs either increase or decrease. So we're trying to get some built-in flexibility here. Our underlying, well, basically the backbone is for library assistant 2, 3, and 4s, those positions really determine the open hours. Currently, for 2022, 23, I have broken down the circulation staff at each location, acknowledging that currently we only have 4 buildings open, but we will be opening 5 more before July of 2022. So as you can see, Aptos this is based on FTE, which is full-time employment numbers. It's not by unique individuals. And the goal is to try to provide level staffing based on designation across the board for all the branches, acknowledging that in some locations we may, by the physical space, need additional staff as we work through. That's primarily downtown, which in any iteration going forward and currently is a 2-story structure, which calls for a different staffing model than we would have at other locations. Can we go to the next, Sarah? Thank you. Pre-pandemic, starting in 2017, when hours were increased throughout the system, we found that we were relying on temporary staff simply to be able to open the buildings, to cover our legal requirements to our staff for their breaks, for their vacations, for their sick leave. At 5 of our locations, 5, which were our smallest branches, we were operating at a negative staffing level of regular staff people, which meant if we had anyone out and we were not able to get coverage from a temporary employee who can choose where they work and when they work, the branches were consistently in danger of closing. We really want to move away from that. It's a system that calls for constant recruiting, constant training, constant calling of people trying to keep the branches staffed. So the goal of this particular proposal is to have regular staff as our primary core, using a smaller group of temporary staff to be able to cover those sick leaves, vacations, and time when people have to go for trainings or meetings. Our challenges are balancing the open hours and services and programs with adherence to our MOU agreements, which is with our staff, with the unions, as well as agreements that we have with jurisdictions, and in providing a safe work environment. There is, for all of our full-time employees, a 2-day off in a row requirement that plays into effect when we're open more than 5 days a week. And we want to be open more than 5 days a week. We need to be able to cover those vacations, cover those 6 days. Right now, the local pool of potential temporary staff is shallow. This is across the board for any business or industry in the county right now. We especially have difficulty getting those individuals with professional experience, and that would be librarians and information specialists. We've also been opening and closing branches for 3 years now. And with the pandemic, our statistics are skewed. And so it is going to take at least a full year of being open with the majority of our branches to really start getting a grasp on that. Now, our level of service definitions, we have minimum service, which is the emphasis is on open hours, the material handling at all locations with limited patron services and programs. Our goal, of course, is to get to standard level of staffing, again, with the emphasis on open hours, material handling, but increased hours, increased patron services, all ages programming, community engagement, school partnerships, and professional librarian services at most locations. Now, the designations, they're dependent on geographic location, the direct service population, that's the folks that live in the immediate area, the facilities and amenities available at the branch, the circulation and visitation statistics as well. Now, this designation can be fluid, and our terms that we're looking at using is neighborhood, community, and regional. Now, the determinants include the circulation and visitation statistics. Those are somewhat of the easiest to find. The service population, we know that we have areas that you have very fluid populations using multiple libraries. We have some areas that we know the core population is only going to that particular library. There's the facilities and amenities. Does the branch have a meeting room? Does it have a good parking lot? Is it on the bus line? There's quite a few things that could determine that. The location, is it easy to get to? Is it more isolated? And then there are the contractual issues that we will have with the various jurisdictions regarding open hours and days of the week that we're open. Now, if we just look at circulation, and I did have to go back to the last year that we were fully open with all 10 facilities, and that was fiscal year 17-18. And then our first quarter of this year. So this is the first quarter of both time periods. And you can tell with Aptos, when it's open fully, it gets about 70,000 circs for the quarter. Right now it's closed, so of course it's down quite low. Boulder Creek, again, there is no numbers for today. But you can see even during the pandemic, once we have the new buildings open up, Capitola's numbers are amazing, and they're higher than downtown, which is a much larger facility that is not closed at all. Felton in its new facility is really impressive, as is our digital branch, which has a lot to do with the pandemic and the buildings being not fully open. So if we can go on to, thank you, Sarah. I was working on what could be our determinant for circulation and broke it down thusly with about a 5,000 item per quarter buffer. And this is looking, the neighborhoods circulate up to 20,000. The community branches would circulate up to 45,000, and the regional would be 50,000 and above. Then the additional determinants, the facilities, the contractual issues. As of today, next week with the County Board of Supervisors, it does look like all of this will be in agreement for Capitola. And we are going to be coming up with MOUs for the other jurisdictions as well. So we'll see what that brings. Now, the patron home branch, this is where an individual would receive either their first library card or where they re-register when it's every 4 years. We just want to update that you're still at the same address. We have the contact information. And oftentimes people do move and they have a different home branch. This is not necessarily how many people are actively using that branch, but this is how many people have actually physically gone in, gotten a library card, or have re-upped their library card. Now for the designations, the neighborhood branches would consist of Boulder Creek, Garfield Park, and La Selva Beach. Our community branches, and this could be the most flexible of all of these branches. Bransford 40, Felton, and Live Oak. Regional would be Aptos, Capitola, Downtown, and Scotts Valley. We also have our designation for what we're calling Beyond Our Walls. This is our outreach. And that includes the bookmobile, our corrections facilities, the community outreach, the professional staff provide, and then our virtual services, which is the telephone information and live answers that's available to everyone throughout the county. Now, this is the proposal based on the staffing that is currently at our neighborhood branches. They are fully staffed for this model. They would be open 34 hours per week, 5 days a week. This provides us with a regular staff person, 2 regular staff people for each hour that the branch is open to the public. It also provides adherence to our MOU requirements for staffing, for lunch breaks, and for safety. The community branches would be open 40 hours per week, 5 days a week. This is where having full-time employees needing 2 days off in a row, we can get our maximum hours per week with the 5 days a week schedule. And that again would be Branch 40, Felton, and Live Oak. Again, having the minimum number of staffing on site to provide public services. We broke down the public services by point of direct contact. That's on the service desk, materials handling, and out on the floor, helping patrons while they're in the stacks. We would need, I'm sorry, Sarah, could you go back to that one, please? Thank you. We would need 1 additional LA2 FTE equivalent to reach the minimum staffing levels for all 3 branches. It would just be the 1 LA2 FTE. And that would mean that Felton and Branch 40 would have the same staffing level that is currently assigned to Live Oak, which has been able to provide 40 hours per week for the last 3 years. The regional, I did break this down to the regional of Aptos, Capitola, and Scotts Valley, and then there's a separate page for downtown because of the physical differences in the buildings. These branches, we were looking at 50 hours per week, open 7 days a week. They require as a minimum staffing level to fully staff the direct public service points of contact, 5 regular staff per open hour for the majority of the time, because we do know occasionally we will need temps to when people are out. This, again, we're adhering to all the MOUs. To achieve what we need here in fiscal year 22-23, the equivalent of 1 FTE LA2, we would unfreeze 2 already budgeted and allocated 20-hour LA2 positions at the Capitola branch. No, I'm sorry, I take that back, Jamie. I almost messed up what you and I had talked about. We would not need to do that until Aptos opens with the frozen Capitola staff. We would need, that's where we have in fiscal year 23-24, that 0.5 FTE LA2 would be a new 0.5, 1 FTE of a librarian 1/2, and then we would also unfreeze the allocated already budgeted FTEs for Capitola. And this would give us 7 days a week throughout the county of service, which ideally we would want to be reaching. With downtown, because it is a 2-story facility and for safety, it does have a higher number of required staff on site. It also still provides the majority of county-wide reference services, which is something I'm hoping to address by looking at what we could go in a standard schedule. So I think, could we go to the downtown page, sir? Thank you. Oh, there it is. And again, Downtown would be 50 hours per week, open 7 days a week. So we would have 4 facilities throughout the county. And it does require 8 on site as a minimum per open hour, the majority of open hours. And here's our breakdown of the personnel needs. I believe it's, yes, this is the correct numbers. And I am open to questions.
All right, are there any? Gotta mute myself. Are there any questions for Interim Assistant Director Watley this morning?
This is Director Coburn. I appreciate all the work we've done so far on the subcommittee, trying to talk about the minimum hours and potentially establishing standard or other hours for the library system. I did have a question about where these minimums are in relationship to where we have been. I mean, I wanted to establish these minimums in my mind, having looked at some historical information, look like they are greater hours than we have done historically in the past. So for both I think for all 3 tiers, neighborhood, community, and regional, it seems like they're above and beyond what we may have looked at in prior to the pandemic and even before that. So I just wanted to first ask you just how far we've come.
I've been with the system for 24 years, and we had much higher staffing numbers the first 10 years that I worked for the system, even from what this proposal is recommending. We lost in 2009, 2010, when we had to reorganize. The Great Recession hit everyone hard. We are still not up to the staffing levels that we had at that point. And we had similar hours to what I'm proposing at that time. The difference now with this proposal, looking at it, is prior to today, downtown was the only branch that was open 7 days a week. And currently Capitola is open 7 days a week as well. That puts an added need of staffing to reach those minimum points that we didn't have prior. So we're still not, with this proposal, at the point that we were at in 2009 before we let staff go. We're still under those numbers, but we are looking at higher open hours because we're looking at those 4 being open 7 days a week.
Okay. I think that's what I was trying to get at, just in terms of those 4 that would be open more. I guess
it's a substantial difference of staffing. In 2017, when Capitola was open, it was 2.5 FTE and of circulation staff, and then 1 librarian, and they could barely cover because it's so busy, and they were only open 5 days a week at that point. So it is quite different.
I think I still have an interest in, I'm hoping this subcommittee can continue to meet. I know I brought that up with Interim Director Howard. I was hoping we could reconvene maybe in January based on the feedback you got from the Library Advisory Commission. I am curious, once Yolande gets here as well, what if we could explore kind of things that other systems are doing in terms of different models with regards to hours and staffing, to see if there's anything creative that's occurring that we haven't thought of. I know you've been working on this really diligently, and you've come up with some great ideas, but I am interested in trying to see what's happening, particularly as it relates to trying to achieve equity in library systems and provide more even hours and maybe consistent opening and closing times. So if we could explore some of those issues as we move forward, I would find that very helpful.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions on this presentation? I have a few comments, but I'll save them till after the public comment. Director Menard?
I just had a curiosity question having to do with your ability to hire people. I mean, if you had additional people, are you able to find appropriately trained and qualified people for these roles on a in full-time roles?
The biggest slowdown right now is the HR department. City of Santa Cruz is overwhelmed with every department looking to hire. And so it's taking us longer, but we are having qualified applicants coming through. So I truly do believe that we're going to be able to fill these roles with qualified individuals.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, are there any public comments here in the room this morning? Seeing none, it looks like I see one hand raised among our virtual participants.
Valerie Murphy, go ahead.
Hi, this is Valerie Murphy. I'm the steward for the OE3 Mid-Management Union, and I'm a librarian at the downtown branch. And I would just like to say that the unions have had a chance to look over this staffing model, and we do support it. We're hoping that there's going to be enough staff, but with 4 branches open 7 days a week, that's always a bit of a challenge. So we do support the staffing model, but we would like to revisit it about 6 months in just to make sure that everything is being covered adequately.
Okay, thank you for that feedback. Any other virtual attendees want to provide public comment this morning?
There are none.
Okay, seeing none, I'll close public comment and bring back, does any board members have any comments? Okay, I have let's go to Director Menard before I make my comments.
Thanks. I just wanted to say that I support the idea that Nicole laid out about, having the new librarian come on board and being able to sort of brief her on this and engage her in that process of, before finalizing, I think is a really good idea.
Okay. So my comments, first off, I also support Director Coburn's suggestion. I think that makes a lot of sense. I also want to, I think something that Nicole mentioned, and I think actually might be really helpful to look at in this process, is to sort of track the open hours for the system over time. I actually was going through some of my old files here recently, and I saw some of the open hour proposals back from the dark days. I think it was like 13, 14. And I mean, it was grim, what we were talking about in terms of total open hours for the system. I think we were like, a lot of the branches were open 30 hours a week or something. So I think that might be good context for everyone to have. I don't know what the right metric, if you just say, oh, total open hours for the system and kind of show that over time. Because I think when we talk about this minimum staffing level, it's actually at an open hours that's significantly ahead of where we've been overall in the last 12, 13 years. I'm not as familiar with what it was like before 08, 09. So I think that would be a helpful thing for us to look at and just to kind of keep that in context. I also want to pivot back to something that the report that we got from our LAC, where they were talking about looking at this again and providing more feedback. And I think one of the key things that I would really look for from the LAC to do, I think everybody on this board would like to have every library open 24 hours a day, right? If we could afford it. But the question really comes to is, where is our next dollar going to go? Because resources are obviously limited. And so built into this, and I think built into what the Library Advisory Commission really kind of in their sort of wheelhouse and what they could really help us with is a little bit of like, okay, is the priority to get to an enhanced like more open hours, or is the priority to spend more on collections, or is the priority to do more outside our walls? That I think is a great place for the LAC to really kind of hone in a little bit. Just telling us, hey, we'd like to go and provide more service. Well, great. I mean, we all would like to provide more service, but if they can help hone in on like, where is the priority, that's really, really helpful and useful. And then also, I just want to really commend staff. I know that this has been something we've talked about for a while, and really looking at this, getting in and looking at, well, okay, where are the staff? What would be the best model? How many more people do we need? And I look forward to looking at, as we look at the budget, to, I think it's one more position we would need next fiscal year to get to that minimum level. And hopefully, I hope for one, that the budget can support that for sure. So those are my comments. Does anybody else have any comments before we close this item out? Director Menard.
Thanks. My only comment is I'd like to thank this group for the work they've done at the subcommittee. I think that it's really important to, take this kind of step back and appreciate that everybody's efforts. I think this is, it seems like it has a good foundation. There's a lot of thought put into it. So I'd just like to acknowledge that.
Thank you, Rosemary. Okay. There's no action needed on this item. So I believe, unless there's anything else for the good of the order, that takes us to item 12, which is our scheduled upcoming meetings. Our next upcoming meeting is 9 a.m. on February 3rd. It'll be back here at Capitola, I assume in a hybrid format. And with that, our meeting is adjourned. Oh, I'm sorry. I see Director Astorga before adjournment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to update the board and the community with the City of Scotts Valley, the City Council ratifying a new contract for our permanent city manager position with our next library board meeting on February 3rd. The new city manager for Scotts Valley should be in attendance there. So this potentially could be my last meeting. So I appreciate everyone's help here. Our new city manager's name is Molly Legault. Her first name is spelled M-A-L-I, and she comes to us most recently from the county of Nevada. So she's going to be a great asset to the team. And then we'll fill in back in the role for the library board as well. So just wanted to announce that to the group.
Great, thank you. And Director Menard.
I have a similar announcement. Matt Huffaker is the city of Santa Cruz's new city manager. Will be starting on the 3rd of January, and I will be going back to the water department. So you won't see me again, but you will see Matt again. Matt, next meeting.
Well, thank you both for stepping in and helping out the library board. Your participation has been really valuable. So thank you all, and we look forward to a changed board coming up here in the new year. So everybody, happy holidays, stay safe. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.